What's up, Totem Pole Nation? This is Lambo and Matt's World of Sports coming at you with our NFL top 5 teams post week 13. There has been a lot of movement in our list in the past couple of weeks. There's been some shocking games that have happened. Thank you to Sideline Sports Network, as always, for the platform. If you want some merch, TotemPoleNation.com. Scrolling in the ticker, you can get some cool sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats that match your Dallas gear, because I know, we got a lot of good fans here. All right. So I'm just fucking around. Calm down. It matches Patriots gear too, man. I needed you to hop in. Anyways. All right, let's get into our top 5 teams where we know the Patriots will not be.
They're foul. Very foul.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next installment of the post-week top 5. This week, post-week 13, starting with my 5th team, the Miami Dolphins. They haven't been ranked on this list since I think the first or second week we did it, which was like week 5 maybe. But last week versus Washington, obviously not a good team. They still haven't really beaten a good team. But with the way that the teams are thinning out in the AFC, at least, with, quarterbacks going down, just not being consistent really in the AFC when it comes to winning games, they're really beating each other up. And the Dolphins are, still at the top of most lists, especially offensively. You look at Tua, the only thing that's, wrong with this picture is, he's tied for 4th with most interceptions. But you go over to Tyreek Hill, who we talked about a couple episodes ago with the MVP stuff. Like, he is without a doubt the best receiver in the league. You can see the numbers right in front of you. And I also mentioned that this defense, since Jalen Ramsey has returned, has emerged as a top defense in the league. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins keep going up this list. But I think 5 is a pretty reasonable spot for them as of right now. Next up, the Ravens. So they didn't move from where I had them last week. And I don't, they were on a bye. I don't think they really deserve to be knocked down a spot after they were already knocked down 2-4 after that loss and the last time they were on the field. So, the Lamar stuff, I put both of his stats here just because I wanted to show that his passing numbers, they are very average. He adds a lot on the ground as well. He's very close to being the team's leading rusher again, which is not something that you necessarily want, but it's not something that you're going to shy away from if you have a quarterback that has the ability to do it. The wide receiver core obviously hasn't showed up to the level that you expected them to. Who's to say whether that's on Lamar or them? I think it's more likely that it's on them. The Ravens just have terrible luck with receivers. Zay Flowers, looks promising. OBJ has returned to his old self in recent weeks. So, and this defense is legit. So I don't think that they deserve to get bumped down anywhere, but off a bye, I couldn't move them up either. Next up, this might shock some people. The Eagles have dropped 2 spots. All right. Embarrassing loss to the Niners. And I'm not going to say too much because who else got embarrassed by the Niners? The Cowboys. All right. I get it. But this game, after everything we heard, Jalen Hurts got bumped up in the MVP odds, all this stuff, with all the talk on Dallas versus Philly Twitter, which is pretty loud throughout the entirety of the year. If you're on Cowboys Twitter at all, you've seen a lot of the stuff from the Philly fans. All right. So the kind of beef that goes down on Twitter. All we saw was how sorry we were going to be when the Eagles roll over the Niners, or how the race for the division is done because they're going to, take out the Niners and then take us out, blah, 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 blah. You got your asses kicked. All right. And you dropped 2 spots on my list from number 1 to number 3. Jalen Hurts hasn't shown me anything that says that he deserves to be an MVP candidate. And then you also look at He's tied for second in the league with 12 rushing touchdowns, tied with CMC. Where did CMC's rushing touchdowns come from? I guarantee you not the 1 damn yard line, all right? So where that is an impressive advantage for them, that like 90% success rate on that play, that doesn't mean that he's in MVP conversation, all right? They got their asses kicked this week. They dropped 2 spots. We're going to move on. They're still one of the best teams in the league. Who do I think is currently better than them and is going to beat them on Sunday? The Dallas Cowboys, baby. Number 2, moving up a spot on my list from last week. You look at Dak right here. It's some top 5 quarterback play. That's some MVP caliber quarterback play. All right. Since week 5, when we did get our doors blown off by the Niners, Dak is far and away the best quarterback in the league statistically. And then you look at the entirety of the season when you have to add in the bad performances of Arizona and San Francisco, the only 2 bad games he's had all year. You include those in these stats as well. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. And then you look at CeeDee Lamb, who had kind of a slower start to the season after he told reporters very politely, "I'm always open." He didn't go I'm always fucking open like Jamar. He didn't say it like that. He was just like, "Hey, I love my quarterback. I trust my quarterback. But yeah, I'm open on some plays where I'm not getting the ball." Next thing you know, he's soaring up in all of the ratings. 3rd now in receptions, 2nd in yards. His yak numbers have gone up, and he is tied for 5th in touchdowns with 7. All right. And then you look at this defense, who I've already given in a couple videos ago the kind of not an excuse, but an explanation of why this defense looks so lackluster the other night. It was their 3rd game in 13 games. Or 3rd game in 13 days. I flipped those words. Like that was a tired defense that we saw, and I don't think that one anomaly pretty much, minus, again, the Niners game. So 2 bad games by this defense, I would say. This Dallas team is just looking too good for me right now. I'm getting too excited about it. So I'll move on to the number 1 team in the league, which it's the Niners. I don't really think I've had them at 1 easily the most out of any team since we've started this list. They've been at the top spot the most weeks for sure. They moved back up into the number 1 spot that Philly took from them. Brock is just, he is managing the game very well. I think he's playing at above a game manager level. Now, you look at, his throwing chart where his passes went. He doesn't really throw the ball farther than 10 yards down the field. So, like, the yak numbers for his receivers are obviously through the roof. But that, I don't think, is necessarily a knock on him. He's putting the ball where it needs to be. He's making quick decisions. And he's not turning the ball over. He's 1st in completion percentage. Like, you can see the stats here. I don't really have to go into it too much. And then you look at, obviously, CMC. He's still the best running back in the league. Now, I will say he is leading rushing yards by like 200 yards versus the running back that has the 2nd most. He's also got like probably 1.5 times the carries as well. So, he is the best in the league. He's also getting an insane amount of volume. But I don't think that you can really debate them being the best team in the league right now. The defense is firing on all cylinders. The offense is clicking. They've got all their pieces back. That's a conclusion of my top 5.
Well, we'll see if this is any different or if it stays the same. Ladies and gentlemen, my number 5 team on this list, which will surprise all of you. Number 5, I am going with those Detroit Lions at number 5. They're at 9-3, obviously. Now, the reason why I didn't pick the Dolphins because they can't beat good teams. That's why you're not on my top 5. If you can't beat good teams, I understand you're 9-3. You lost to the Eagles. You lose to the Chiefs. You got blown out by the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, we were 6-6. I'm going with the Lions. The Lions are very efficient. They're a very, very good team. They're top 6 in passing yards, rushing yards, and points for. Now, the defense's points against is 23rd. It's not really that good, but it's improving. But I like Amari St. Brown. I like Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. They get stuff done. They're going to get it done. And I like their second-round pick out of Iowa, Sam Laporta. He's been making a very, very good impact on his Lions offense. He is great. They're efficient. The Lions will be a playoff contender. Playoff contender, not a Super Bowl contender. We hadn't seen what they've done. They hadn't made the playoffs since like 2011, or it's been a very long time since the Matthew Stafford days. But the thing I got to say is about Jared Goff. This man has resurrected his career. And look, we thought his career was over after the Rams, after the little Sean McVay thing. No. That's just not what happened. What happened was the Lions are getting better, and they're always going to stay efficient. Now, my number 4 team in all of this list, number 14 we're going to pick is the Green. Sunday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles have dropped to number 4 because you got your ass whooped by those 49ers. I'm not an Eagles fan nor a Cowboys fan. Who do I hate both? I don't really know. Here's my point when it comes to the Eagles. I've been saying this since you came on the show. I've been saying it before you came on the show. This Eagles defense is very suspect. Very suspect. The corners is not good. Not only that they're not good, y'all keep saying that Jalen Hurts has MVP numbers. Why is this man tied for 4th or 3rd in interceptions? 12 rushing touchdowns by the little 1-yard push. I get that. I'm a coach. I understand that it's a 1-yard push. It's a great play. If you keep running it, it's going to work. But the NFL is on the verge of trying to ban the little push touch, what Jalen Hurts is doing. They're in the process, but I don't know if they're going to ban it or not. But Roger Goodell's in the process because he's looking and he's seeing how pissed off that is. But Jalen Hurts has been very, very inconsistent. Numbers-wise, touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, they look good. Interceptions, not great. New offensive coordinators, they're still working in the process. I understand that they signed Shaq Leonard, a former Colts linebacker, but when it comes to the Eagles, they find ways to win games. But defensively, they got exposed. They let 34 on against the Bills. They did very well against the Chiefs, but the Cowboys, they're probably going to beat them, obviously. I'm not sure. I'm not really confident if they're going to possibly even win the division going forward because the next 4 games is going to be tough, and it will not be very easy. All right? My number 3 team that I'm going to pick, number 3 team will be, as we get it on, number 3 team I'm going to take is the Baltimore Ravens at number 3. Here's why I'm going to take the Ravens at number 3. I keep saying it. The Ravens are the most efficient team in all of football. The most efficient team. Lamar Jackson, new offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. They're doing great. His passing numbers and his stats don't look very good, but when it comes to the Ravens defense, they're officially the number 1 defense in all of the NFL. Do I trust the Ravens long-term in the playoffs? I don't know. They only won 2 playoff games since 2015. But the weaknesses of the Ravens is the 4th quarter. How many leads do you blow in the 4th quarter? Imagine if you didn't blow those leads, you probably would have lost maybe 1 game or maybe possibly go undefeated. You could say the same thing for the Eagles, but let's just be honest when it comes to the Ravens. I like what the Ravens are doing. Lamar Jackson is more comfortable in that new offense of what Tom Monken has done in Georgia. Odell Beckham Jr. is becoming Odell Beckham Jr. They still have Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman is kind of, in and out. Obviously, he's questionable to play, but OBJ feeling like himself, especially with no ACL, I don't know what to tell you. And despite the injuries of Mark Andrews and the running back core, they're still efficient and they're still winning games. So them at number 3 is not that surprising at all. Now, my number 2 team on this list is, give it to me. Number 2 team on this list will be the Dallas Cowboys at number 2. Here's why the Dallas Cowboys stick at number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, Dak Prescott has 26 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That is good. All right. The Dallas Cowboys have a chance to take a lead in the NFC East on Sunday Night Football. They have a chance. Dak Prescott has outplayed Jalen Hurts in think both of those games. CD Lamb is open. You have Brandon Cooks. Look what they're doing with that defense. Now, the secondary needs work. I understand they blew 35 points, but Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons. Now, I'm pissed that he didn't get a sack. That was part of my prize picks, but it does not really matter. All right? I like what Kevon Turpin is doing in that offense. I don't wish at all. But when it comes to that, Tony Pollard has still had over 700 yards rushing right now, but they're first in points. First in the league in points. They average over 32 points a game. They're third in passing yards, and they're 11th in rushing yards, despite them not running the ball a lot like they used to, with Mike McCarthy being the first year as the official play caller. But the defense, fourth in points against, only allowing 18 points per game. So, look, defense, offense, everything is going well for them right now. The question is what they're going to do in the playoffs. But as of right now, we give credit where credit is due. When it comes to those Dallas Cowboys, they are who they thought we were. Number one team will be the San Francisco 49ers. You know why? Because both of these teams whooped the Cowboys and the Eagles' ass at the same time. The score won't even differ. It was 42-10 and it was 42-19. This defense, very great, very efficient. Not only that, but Brock Purdy is in the odds of winning MVP, and it's very, very high when it comes to Brock Purdy. They have George Kittle, they have Deebo Samuel, they have Christian McCaffrey. They got all weapons possible. All weapons possible. And they shown that they're the team in the NFC without the injuries they had last year. They went through 4 quarterbacks and still went to the NFC Championship game. How many teams have 4 quarterbacks, including the starting running back, Christian McCaffrey, had to play quarterback and make the NFC Championship game? Not many. Despite the loss, they're still very consistent. Now, I know they had some bad losses, obviously, but they're number two in the NFC. And they do have a chance to win. Whatever they win this Sunday, they have a chance to win. Not only that, they could be the number 1 seed, and the 49ers get home field advantage. Ain't nobody beating them, and they will go to the Super Bowl, like I said, because I am confident in those 49ers. And by the way, they're number 2 in defensive points against, only allowing 15 points per game. But look, I'm not saying Brock Purdy is a elite quarterback, but as of right now, Brock Purdy is proving us wrong. He's not elite, but he's good. No more Brock Purdy slander, but the same slander you want to give Josh Allen, you have to give Dak Prescott. That is it for my top 5.
All right. I mean, I didn't hate it. A lot of it was the same. What the difference was, I had Philly at 3, you had them at 4, and then you had the Lions at 5. I had the Dolphins. Yeah. So I mean, I
ain't like the Dolphins at 5 is like I don't hate the Dolphins, but it's just the Dolphins hadn't shown me that you can beat good teams.
Yeah.
You can't be in my top 5. You can't beat good teams.
Yeah, I hear you. They haven't had the opportunity since Jalen's been back, and I'm with you. They need to obviously show up against good teams, but I think this defense now can, versus earlier in the year, the defense was running out there like a chicken with his head cut off. Like they didn't really know what they were doing. Now it seems like they've got direction. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Dolphins could be scary in the playoffs. And I will say that I agree with you. If the Niners lock up the 1 seed,
nobody beat them.
The NFC is screwed. They're screwed. Oh my God, yeah. So I mean, if we win, we're gonna need the Niners to lose
to Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be this week, but I predicted a win already for the Cowboys this week against Philly, which, assuming the Niners win this week, which we both assume that, we'd be tied, and then they'd have the tiebreaker. So we would need them to lose another game down the line, and we don't. It's going to be It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But I agree with you. Dallas needs to lock that 1 seed in, because if San Fran gets it, the NFC is screwed.
They scored in all ways. But this is it for NFL Top 5 teams post Week 13. Like, comment, subscribe to Total Point Nation. If you want your good merch that matches Cowboys gear and matches the horrible Patriots gear away version, go get it, because it's very affordable. Thank you, Silas, for giving us the platform, obviously. But we will be back next week for NFL. Sadly, college football season is not over just yet, because next week we're going to talk about the bowl games, and especially the college football playoff of if did Florida State get screwed over. We'll talk about that next week. Also, since you're doing the recruiting trip in football, I'm going to go ahead and pop a basketball one. All right? So basketball recruiting, football recruiting will be on the way for more and exciting content. But this is it. We'll catch you later. Y'all have a great weekend. Please take care of yourself.